Hello, dear students, and Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are doing well. Let us begin with today's video, which is a continuation of the previous video we started off for grade 8 students for the topic ecology. Now, what we are going to learn today is the continuation of the previous video in which we learned the carbon oxygen cycle and its importance, and we understood that why it is important to the ecosystem. So, today's topic is the upsetting of the ecosystem, how different factors contribute to upset the atmosphere and disturb its balance. Before moving on, let us first recall which we learned in our previous video, which was photosynthesis. This is a very important process in which plants make their own food. How do they make their own food? By taking in the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere combined with water and in presence of sunlight to produce oxygen and glucose. In return, what happens that this oxygen is utilized by the biotic factors and to produce energy and carbon dioxide. So this was the cyclic process which was going on, rather which is going on in the atmosphere. Now, if you think of certain ways in which the amount of this gas, which is carbon dioxide, raises, increases, so what will happen? Well, we also discussed in the previous video about the greenhouse effect. What was that? The greenhouse effect is the warming up of the Earth's atmosphere due to these two greenhouse gases. We define greenhouse gases as the gases that has the ability to warm up. So what happens when excess, there is an excess amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? Let me leave that question to you, answer to you, and we will come up with the correct term in a while. Meanwhile, let us come to discuss some factors which contribute to the excess amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. There are some natural factors and obviously some human factors. Natural factors include volcanic activity. Let me tell you that when approximately 4.6 billion years ago, when the structure of the earth was formed, our planet, blue, blue planet, this was a hot piece, a hot piece of ball, boiling. There was no atmosphere. And as time passed, these volcanic activities, they started to diminish. And let me tell you, these volcanic activities went on for a million of years. And they created the atmosphere, which we know now, filled with carbon dioxide. The other factor is the respiration, which we have discussed, and up to some extent also the wildfires caused to the increase in carbon dioxide levels. For human factors, there are a lot. I have written a few. Burning fossil fuels for industrialization, for energy need. Why do we need to burn fossil fuels? To fulfill our energy needs. So this, as we have discussed, burning fossil fuel, this is the process of combustion, which hydrocarbons combined with in presence of oxygen burns to produce carbon dioxide. Now what is happening that carbon dioxide is being filled into the air, and upon that we are also cutting down trees, which we discussed that are the only resource that consume up the carbon dioxide present in the air, and they allow it to regulate in the form of oxygen. So, this also leads to an increase in the amount of greenhouse gas. And thirdly, the oceanic floor disturbances, which have been recently aggravated. What happens that when these ocean floors are swiped for hunting fish or for other industrial purposes, for extracting resources, minerals from the oceanic floor, large amount of carbon dioxide that has been suppressed by the soil, by the dirt of the oceanic floor rises to the surface. Now, this carbon dioxide has been trapped due to the volcanic activity that has been going on beneath the surface of the earth. And these human inputs, they are releasing it into the atmosphere. So, the excess amount of carbon dioxide now causes an added greenhouse effect. And in result, what was the term? I hope you guessed it correctly. It is global warming. Now, what is global warming? It is the average increase in the temperature of the planet. Now, if we keep on adding carbon dioxide into the atmosphere without taking remedial steps to eradicate it, to remove the excess amount, this will keep on warming up our planet. And what would happen if we do not control the amounts of the gas released, melting of ice caps and glaciers? What would happen if these ice caps and glaciers melt? Let me tell you that they are one of the major resources for fresh water, for rivers to keep on going. Then excessive melting will cause in flooding. And the third one is the climate change. The climate changes. What is climate? We already know about this term. Climate is the prolonged weather conditions over a region. So, if the regions, for instance, the Asia, the tropical regions, they mostly experience four seasons: summer, winter, autumn, and spring. But and these seasons allow them to grow crops. One of an example, what will happen to these crops if the summers are prolonged? What about the winter crops? So this is how adversely the climate change will affect. And what is causing these adverse effects? It's the excess amount of greenhouse gases which we are inputting into the nature's atmosphere. So let us conclude what we learned in this video. We underline how our ecosystem is disturbed and highlighted the negative impacts. The carbon oxygen cycle is going on in a balanced way due to the natural activities. It's a perfect balance between nature's factors. We humans, we are burning fossil fuels to fulfill our energy needs. We are cutting trees for wood, for resource, for land, and we are disturbing the ancient oceanic floors. So all of this is upsetting our ecosystem. We humans We are intelligent species. We can build houses. We can think of ways. We can come up with different technology to fight the global warming or the effects. But those also up to some extent. So we have to think about nature's other biotic factors, the insects, the birds, the plants. They are also contributing to make this world a better and livable place. They also belong here. We also belong here. Hope you have understood today's concept. Stay blessed, stay tuned. Allah Hafiz.